Good morning, everyone, and a good evening for those of you who are currently in China and decided to spend the next 20-30 minutes with us. My name is Alina Jumabaeva, and I am the Master of Finance Beijing Program Manager. And we will talk a little bit about some of the issues that can come up during this unprecedented time while you're completing your application. So we'll go piece by piece by basically talking about every piece of the application that you have and what kind of issues there might be and what to avoid and maybe what to pay attention to just so your application would be smooth and there will be no hiccups on the way. Just a little bit about our program. I know most of you who joined today probably already know about the program. You should have received our brochure after you signed up for the webinar. If you haven't, you can reach out to me and I will forward it to you. So the partnership between Queen's and Renmin happened because Queen's University wanted to deliver their program in China. So according to the regulations of the Ministry of Education, foreign university cannot just come to the mainland China and deliver their program. So what they require is to have a partner of the local university so the foreign university can deliver the program. And maybe some of you might be familiar with that. There are a couple of joint programs between foreign universities and local universities in China. So we are one of that program. The program, though we are recruiting all over the world, the program is delivered on campus in Beijing. It is a Queen's degree, so the graduates will be receiving a Queen's Master of Finance degree. However, as Renmin, and to acknowledge that they have, the students have completed their studies at Renmin, they do provide a certificate that states that they completed their Master of Finance, Queen's Master of Finance on Renmin campus. So just a little bit about the course schedule before we dive into the whole application process. So there are 2 semesters, 5 months each. First runs from September to January, and then we have the second one from March to July. We have a bit of a break in February for the Chinese New Year, so there is a long holidays. Renmin University is closed, so we basically follow class schedule, the curriculum that Renmin University follows, just to be in line with the campus opening policies as well as local holidays schedule. Because the courses are delivered on the weekends, sometimes in terms of the holidays, some of the working days might be put on rescheduled to the weekends. So we also take that into consideration and try not to schedule the courses if the working day falls on a weekend, just to facilitate the students who are working while they're completing their Master of Finance Beijing program. So the application process for our program is pretty straightforward. You will apply online and maybe some of you have already done it. So you will complete online application, you will submit your resume and your transcript. Then within 2-3 business days, you should be receiving your preliminary assessment with the next set of documents that you will be required to submit. Then you will need to complete your application file, basically completing that list that was provided after the preliminary assessment, and then you will move to the online interview. After online interview is over, you should be expecting your final results within 7 to 10 business days. We also have a middle point as an alumni coffee chat in between. So somewhere in between 7 to 10 business days, you should be expecting your results after the online interview. So just to talk a little bit about the documents and the requirements in piece by piece. So as I mentioned, for the preliminary assessment, we will only need from you your completed online application, your resume with your unofficial transcript. To complete your application, after the preliminary review, you will be asked to submit most of the documents that are listed on the right. So if required, you might be asked to submit TOEFL or IELTS, GMAT, GRE, and or CFA level 1, and I will go into that a little bit later, and 2 online references, as well as the official transcript, which can be either hard copy or an e-copy. But the official transcript needs to be submitted after you have graduated. We need to confirm that you have completed your undergraduate degree. One of the requirements for the program, you need to complete your undergraduate bachelor degree before you start the Master of Finance Beijing program. The online application. So the next part will be a little bit less intensive, less visual intensive. So it will be only the summarization of what I'm talking points on the slide. So if you guys want to just take a little bit of break from the screen, you can just listen to my voice. And I understand there is a lot of Zoom fatigue and online learning fatigue. So if you just want to take a little bit of a break time from the screen, you can just listen to my voice. So we'll go into the online application in detail. So the first thing you don't want to do is do not rush. Don't think that you need to submit the online application as soon as you can, because when you rush, you might miss some of the very important information. And we always say that online application is basically your first impression for the application advisor and for the admission committee who is conducting the preliminary review. So you do want to take the online application seriously. First, you want to do, just go scan through the application. And it's not only the thing that I'm talking right now, it might not be only applicable for our application, but you might want to, if you are applying for other schools, you might consider these tips as well. So you want to scan through the application to see what information is required and whether you have all the information at hand. It doesn't mean that if the application asks for the GMAT score and you have to take the GMAT before you submit your online application. No, you can complete that later. But in terms of the open questions, there might be some questions that would require you to explain your situation, or if you would like to add some additional information that is already not covered in online application questions, you might want to take your time. And one of the tips, do not type your questions in the online application, because I understand it might take some time. So you do want to use either Word or any other text program to type your question. First of all, it will give you some time for a review afterwards, just to see if there is any typos or mistakes, or if you want to just leave it for couple of hours and return to it, you might want to add something, or you might want to redact something just to make it a little bit more appealing, more easy to read, or maybe you can notice that you missed something and you do want to include that information, because sometimes that happens. And the reason why the Word, if you do complete your application online and you we understand there is a lot of technical issues. There might be a session might expire. Our site does use cookies, so there should not be a lot of the problems if you do type your answers right on the application form, just to have a safe backup plan in case you put so much work into answering the question and then the question disappears. That happened to me, and it is very frustrating, and you will never replicate what you've done before. So that's would be my advice. And then you can keep it as a template for your, just to come back, just to see if you need to add something, or you've already mentioned that during when you talk to application advisor, or when you already moved to the interview. You also, if you have any questions and if something is not clear to you, please contact us and we will try to help you as much as we can. So as I say, there's no stupid questions. If you just want to reconfirm that you already know, feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help you. So feel free to contact anytime you have a question. Another point is check the requirements for their attachments. Sometimes the websites require attachments to be a particular size. So our form requires documents to be not bigger, not larger than 4 megabytes, I believe. So they should not be, you do not want to do it larger than 4 megabytes. And if you don't have the tools to reduce the size of the file, don't worry about that either. You can complete your application and you can send us the files via email. That is also an option, but it is always good just to have everything in one place and just not to worry that whether we receive that email or not. Just a precaution, just to so the check the requirements tip can also be done during when you are doing your scanning through the application. Another point is you want to review the application after you complete it. Again, just to see if you did not miss any other any question, if the information is done correctly. Sometimes a lot of people use autofill and some of the autofill fields might not be filled correctly. So you do want to pay attention to those, especially your address, your phone number. Maybe sometimes you use different email addresses for different purposes. So you do want to check that information. And that we strongly recommend you review your application after completion. And maybe so the question that you already typed in Word you forgot to include. So that is also a good time to find all of your mistakes and information that might be missed. So moving on to the resume. So there is several sections on the resume, like education, your experience, any additional your volunteering, your awards or your achievements. So basically, what you want to do is to when your resume should be always different. Your resume should be matched for the program or for the job that you're applying for. So you do want to take your time to check the resume. In terms of the education, you do want to highlight your relevant courses if you're applying for Master of Finance or any other programs. You do want to point out that you did complete those courses, whether that's finance, accounting. If you are non-business economics major, maybe you did some quantitative courses as part of your elective courses. So that you can also include. Any additional education, if you've done an exchange abroad, if you have transferred from another university, that can also be a helpful point because that can also answer some questions that can be raised when we are reviewing your transcript in case you have a transfer credit. Your experience. Don't just list your job and your position and your company name. You do want to take your time and highlight your job duties and responsibilities. You do want to point out whether there was just an internship, but it was an investment company or at the bank, and you do want to highlight any relevant job experience. This can also help us not only during the preliminary review, but during the interview. We can also come back to that, which can be a benefit for you because you can then talk about what you did in that company in more specific way. But it's always good to highlight your job responsibilities on the resume. And it kind of gives your resume a little bit of a full picture in case you don't have a lot of experience to add to the resume. It kind of gives your resume a very polished and nice looking view. Again, as I mentioned, you do want to add your volunteer and awards and achievements. PDF is recommended. So the reason why PDF is recommended, and I will show you on the next slide, when you use Word, every time when you use Word, every system is different. So whatever the word set up on a different system, it might not look as good as you think it is. So a lot of students are using a lot of cloud services like a Google Docs or Microsoft or Word 365. So you do want to, because PDF is a locked document, there won't be any changes to the document depending on the system that the viewer is using. So we strongly recommend you to do the PDF because as an example, you can see what on the first side, the student might submit the left resume, but the application advisor, when they open the document, it can be shown as it is. So we do want to recommend you to use PDF. Transcript. Make sure on the top of your transcript, it states your name. Sometimes students don't know how to export the unofficial transcript and they miss the name. That delays your processing because we will have to come back to you and require to resend your transcript that contains your name. All your semesters needs to be listed. If you are in your 4th year, make sure that the courses that you are enrolled in right now are also listed there. All course names should be listed. The reason why I'm bringing this up, some of the schools' internal systems, when the students pull up their unofficial transcript, only provides course codes. But for us, we cannot know what exactly that course. We know that might be a business course or economics course, but we don't know what exactly the course is. And in terms of evaluating and reviewing the transcript, we do need all of the course names to be listed on the transcript. As I mentioned on the resume, if you have any transfer credits, we do recommend to include the transcript from other schools, whether that was an exchange school or that was your first school that you transferred from. If you can include that in your initial transcript file, so it would be listed as your current transcript, and then you can include the transcript from other schools in one document, that would be great. If not, it can also be submitted by email separately. We will ask you for that, so it is good to be prepared and make sure that you have everything on hand. In terms of the tests and other documentation, IELTS and TOEFL language test will be only required for the students who did not complete their education in English. So for the students graduating from Canadian universities and who completed their undergraduate studies in English, this is not required. For any other test, as well as the language test, schedule your test wisely. I understand there's a lot of uncertainties right now, and you don't want to rush in terms of, well, it is available now, but it won't be available in a month. You do still want to give yourself a good chunk of time to prepare for the test as much as possible. Some of the tests do offer online options as a GMAT and GRE, so you might want to see what is the difference for the online tests or what you need to pay attention to. Maybe a little bit of differences, so you might want to do some practical practice test just to make sure that you are comfortable with the technology and the way that the exam goes, in order not to be surprised on the test day. Check the requirements for the test. Basically for the GMAT, we do require a minimum of 600, ideally closer to 650. For the GRE, a minimum of 317. CFA, a minimum of level 1 pass. We will look into each of the components as well. And when I mentioned some of the candidates might be asked to submit GMAT or CFA, so that might be for some of the candidates, that requirement might be given after the preliminary review. So that means that the admission committee wants to give you another chance and to prove that you are academically strong and your educational aptitude towards the program. So you'll be successful during your Master of Finance Beijing courses. If there's any changes in your test date, in your schedule, communicate with your application advisor as soon as possible. Check with them what is your option in case it is canceled. We are trying to keep an eye on all of the changes that is happening right now. So we also try to stay alert. We also notify our students of any changes if we are aware, for them to pay attention. And that's something that happened with the CFA level 1. Some of you might be already aware, CFA level 1 in December has been canceled in some of the locations where the test cannot be held due to the pandemic restriction or lack of staff to handle proctor the exams. So we do notify our students about the changes, but we can only notify the students who we are aware are taking that exam. So that is why we would suggest you just let us know as soon as you schedule your test, so we can follow up and maybe let you know if there's any changes. Don't be afraid to reach out if you are not sure, if you have any questions or you need any advice. We are here on your behalf. We do want you to be successful with your application. So we will try to give you the advice to make sure that you can complete your application in time and you can attain your goal of being enrolled in the program. References. So we do require 2 references, and they can be either academic or professional, and they can be both academic and professional. So on the bottom, you can see all of the 3 options that can be happening. So they can be 2 academic references, they can be 2 professional references. Some of our applicants are students who are out of the school for several years and they've been working. So we understand it will be really difficult to go back to your previous professors and ask for the references. And the professors might not be there anymore. They might have moved on, or they might not have a record of your previous performance any longer. So the 2 professional references will also be accepted. And as an option, 1 academic and 1 professional reference can also be accepted. So in terms of the professional reference, we are looking for a reference from your supervisor. And in terms of the academic references, we are looking for from a faculty that will be relevant to given an evaluation of your performance, whether that is a quantitative course, whether that is a business course, whether there was a team component. So you might think that maybe a Spanish language professor would not be very helpful in their references for us in terms of evaluating you. So if you do have hesitations or any questions in terms of the references, feel free to reach out and we can suggest you if you have like several options that you want to several people that you want to reach out to, but you don't know who would be better, we can always suggest you who to contact. Official transcript, as I mentioned, can be submitted either by a hard copy or an e-transcript. If a university is issuing electronic transcript and it is protected and it's verified with a university seal and registered signature. It also can be submitted after the graduation. So for the students who are in their 4th year, this can be submitted after you confer your degree. So some of the students might complete their degree in May, in June. So this is when you would submit your transcript. And you might have a question, what about the interview? Are we waiting for the interview until then? No, your interview will be conducted before that if everything else is completed. So your interview will be held first, and then you can be asked to submit your official transcript. And then we will move to the interview. We always say treat it as a job interview. It is online through Zoom. Everyone is familiar with that. You will, after the scheduling, you will receive the link to join the Zoom. It will be a video. You will be on the video. You are expected to be on the video. Excuse me. And as we say, treat it as a job interview. You are expected to appear as for a job interview. So make sure your attire is appropriate. The lighting is good. Maybe you want to do a test before joining the Zoom interview, just to make sure that everything works and you look good and presentable. If you receive the time for the interview and that is not convenient for you, do not hesitate to ask for a reschedule. We don't want you to be uncomfortable. We don't want you to miss your job or your classes. We do want to make sure that you are ready. You don't have there's no distractions. You are well prepared and confident. So there's no any other necessary anxiety for the interview. So we do want to eliminate and we want to provide you with the best time for you as possible. So feel free to reach out to us and suggest other time or ask to reschedule, and we can provide you with the several time slots that you can choose from. Or as I said, you can also suggest us the time that you would be more comfortable with. Have examples prepared. So you would want to have, when answering the questions, we do expect you to picture a whole story. Basically, when you are asked about maybe your team experiences or your strengths or your weaknesses or any other instances that happened during your studies or during your internship, you do want to tell a story. You do want to prepare several examples just to showcase whether you were successful in team building, or maybe you were not, but you learned something from them. That is also can be used as an example. And you can say, yes, this happened. Maybe that was not a good experience, but I learned from that and I know how to move forward. So our courses are team-based, so you do want to include that information. But if you are not asked that question, you can always add it after, because you will be always asked if you want to ask us something or if you want to provide any clarification. So, and if you do have a question, you can make a note, or if you did not understand a question, ask the interviewer to paraphrase, ask the clarification. That would be a great, don't afraid to ask questions. It would be better if you understand the question and respond as clearly, as fully as you can, than answer the wrong question. If there's any technical issues, it is Zoom, it is online, it is there's a lot of variables. Your computer might not work, your internet might cut off, camera might not function well. Do not panic. We can always reschedule. Things happen. We understand. We all been there. So this will not be negatively impacted on you in any case. Just feel free to reach out to us and tell us which other day you would prefer to have the interview, and make sure that everything is prepared. If everything happens again, okay, this happens. We will move on, we will reschedule again. And just some points in the summary, we're also already at 30-minute mark, but I do want to have some time for the Q&As. So feel free to use Q&A function on the bottom and the chat function on the bottom of your panel. So if, again, as I said, if you need a clarification during the interview, during your application process in terms of any documents required, please ask questions. Talk to your application advisor, check with them. They will be your first point of the contact. Feel free to talk to them. If there is any change in your plans, in your vacation, in your tests, tell us, reach out to us, tell us about the updates, ask us for an advice. We will probably be aware of any changes in terms of the test by that time. So we will have the answer for you. And the last but not least, communication is key. In this, though we are available over the phone as well, if you feel free to talk to us, but feel free to reach out to us and talk to us. We are here for you. We do want you to be successful. We do want you to successfully transition to the next step in your academic career and professional career. So we're here for you. Tell us if you have any issues, if you have any questions, and we'll try to help you as much as we can. So in terms of the communication, we do have virtual one-on-one sessions with our admissions staff. So with one of our advisors, they're available either in English or in Chinese, and they are updated regularly. So you can sign up. After you sign up, you will not receive an automatic email. We need to review what time slot is available on that day, and we will contact you the next day or the following business day to let you know what time you've been scheduled. And once the time is confirmed, we'll send you that link. We also have some of the archived info sessions that have been done in the past. If you are interested, we have some webinars there and panel discussions that might be helpful during this time. We strongly recommend you to review those if you are interested. This is our social media, and this is our contact page. As I said, we are available through phone, email, WeChat. And on the right side, you'll see our WeChat group. Feel free to join if you are not in yet. All of the updates about our future events or our future webinars will be posted there. Any updates in terms of the program or any deadlines will be posted there as well. So I am there. My colleagues are in the group as well. If you want to talk to us directly, feel free to add us through the group so we can communicate over WeChat as well. So again, if you have any issues, feel free to reach out to us, and we will move to the Q&A, but I will leave this slide on in case you guys want to take a picture or add it or give it to some of your friends that might not be able to participate in the webinar today. So we'll move on to the Q&A. Just preliminary assessment has a special window, or we can just submit in the normal application window. So we don't have application windows like other schools. Our enrollment is on a rolling basis. So you would want this. Once you are ready, feel free to submit your online application, and the preliminary assessment is conducted within 2-3 business days. You will be hearing from us. Okay, there's another question. If there's a minimum GPA requirement, what's the statistic about the admission GPA? We don't have a minimum GPA requirement, and that is why some of the students might be required to submit both GMAT and CFA component. I believe our latest class overall GPA was 3.1, I want to say. I'm not sure, I need to confirm that. But if you do want to learn about the overall admission GPA, you can reach out to me and I will let you the exact number. Is the class scheduled throughout the week or mainly on the weekend? So the class is scheduled, I did mention that in the beginning, the class is scheduled on the weekend. We don't have classes during the week. So the students can either work or pursue any other commitments. However, I want to stress out, this is not a part-time because it is delivered on the weekend. Think of it as all of your weekday classes were moved to the weekend. So in terms of the class hours and the required workload, you are completing a full-time program, even though all of your classes are on the weekends. Okay. Okay, so there's another question about the differences between the programs in Beijing and the same program in Toronto. Especially in terms of the diploma, the students who completed the Master of Finance in Toronto and Master of Finance in Beijing will be receiving the same diploma. The diploma will say Queen's Master of Finance. The only difference that you will see will be reflected on your transcript, where the degree will be specified, saying that you completed your degree with the at the Renmin University, where Master of Finance Toronto will not specify that. However, the diploma itself is the same, and you will be receiving Queen's Master of Finance. Other differences are location, so Toronto and Beijing, as well as faculty and career support. So we do, half of our faculty who are teaching in Master of Finance in Beijing are represented by Renmin and Hanqing Institute of Advanced Economics and Finance. So they bring the Asian overview of the Asian markets to the table. And career support, besides Smith Career Advancement Center at Smith, we have a third-party career provider in China that they work with students to help them prepare them for the job market in China if they're interested, because the resume requirements, the application requirements in China are different. The interview might be different. Some of the companies might want to conduct a test, recruitment test. So those, our career provider in China is going over all of those points as well. What are the class hours for weekends? Are the classes offered for both Saturdays and Sunday, or just one of those days? Both Saturday and Sunday. You can look at full days on Saturday and Sunday. So usually it is 8:30 to 5. It can be a full day on Saturday and a half day on Sunday, depending on faculty availability and their preferences. So it can be either Saturday and Sunday full day from 8:30 to 5, or it can be Saturday 8 to 5 and Sunday 8:30 to 12. When is the deadline to submit the GMAT score? So as I said, we don't have a specific deadline. However, if you are, think of it, as soon as you submit your GMAT score and you complete all of other components, you can move to the interview stage. So it is up to you, but as I said, do not rush into the scheduling your GMAT. You want to give it a little bit of time. And because we are on the rolling basis, there are two different timelines for the students who don't have a Chinese passport and the students with the Chinese citizenship. So non-Chinese citizens, there is a deadline for application of May 30th, I believe it will be next year as well. And for the students who are holding Chinese citizenship, you can complete your application up until basically July, as long as we have spots in the class. But again, as I said, if you want to learn and to know your results as soon as possible, you can let us know. If you are applying for other schools, you do want to match that information, your timeline, if you're receiving any information from other schools. Okay, so the next, what is the program fee? So we do have two program fees listed on our website. It is domestic and international. As we are Canadian universities, and so we follow the regulations of a Canadian institution. So you do, the domestic students considered to be Canadian citizens and holders of a PR. So for them, the tuition for the next year is 184,753.16 Chinese renminbi. The reason why it is in Chinese renminbi, this is another compliance of ours with the Ministry of Education in China. That is requirement from the Ministry of Education that any joint program should be paid in renminbi to host school. So an international tuition for Chinese nationals or non-Canadian PR would be 318,000 for the next year. How long will I receive a reply after I submit an application? So usually the preliminary review, again, it is 2 to 3 business days. Give us 2 to 3 business days. If you haven't heard from us within that time, check with us just in case there's something wrong with the submission of the application. But usually you should be hearing from us within 2 or 3 business days. What if the applicant cannot find his transcript and his school cannot find the record either? Check with us. It depends what kind of school. It depends whether that's a transfer records. It depends whether that your undergraduate transcript. So I would suggest to reach out to us we will check because there's a explanation because the applicant graduated from the university more than 10 years ago. So again, reach out to us and we will have a chat in terms of what your options might be. It is a case by case. We haven't had that case before, so we need to discuss this. Okay, we're a little bit over time, so it's 11:44. I give another minute for any other outstanding questions, and then I will conclude. Again, we will be sending the recording to everyone who signed up for the webinar in case you want to go back and recheck the application process or any of the questions that have been answered. Yeah. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us anytime. Okay, if there are no more questions, I think we will finish our webinar at this moment. I hope you, everyone, will have a great rest of the day. If you're connecting from China, have a good night, folks. Have a good rest of the week. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to contact us. Bye bye.